everyone, and welcome to IB Psychology. My name is Sandy Gardner, and I am your student's IB Psychology teacher. So let's get started, and let me introduce you to what the course is. First of all, this is going to be my 10th year here at Carmel. I am in my 25th year of teaching. I'm originally from New Hampshire, and my husband and my family moved here about 10 years ago. To Carmel. I have a 16-year-old, so I know what everybody's going through as a mom, and I also have an 8th grader who's at Clay. Throughout my years, I've taught in New Hampshire, I've taught in Pennsylvania, in Florida, and in North Carolina twice. My biggest thing about being a teacher is I've taught all grades from elementary all the way to high school, and high school is by far my favorite. I love this group of kids and seeing what their futures are going to be like and having an impact on that. So your kids are in good hands. I am very structured and have high expectations, but that comes with a lot of love and care in the classroom. Our classroom is pretty bright and cheery. I'll turn this camera around so you can see all kinds of cool stuff going on here on the walls, and always celebrating what kids are doing and supporting them. So I know it's hard when you're not able to come into the classroom to see what it looks like, but that's where your kiddos are learning this year. So in terms of why IB is different than AP, this usually helps people to see like what's really the big difference. We do less content than IB, and we do it a lot slower. So what you'll see is kids will have like their calendar, and sometimes we'll get off that calendar because we'll get into a discussion about something and so forth. And so we have big thematic units that I'll discuss, and that's a lot of critical thinking and project-based. We do a lot of activities every day, and so that makes it a little bit different from AP that goes a lot quicker and tests maybe every 4 to 5 class periods. I've taught AP Psych, so I can tell you sort of the difference between that. We do less multiple choice, and it's more the test itself, the IB exam, is actually it's an assessment that is short answer and extended essay questions. So we do a lot of writing and we do a lot of discussion, so the kids are ready for that. And the questions are more broad and less specific. So they're not taking a multiple choice test. They're getting like a big broad question. And I'll show you what those are going to look like. It's also it's an international program. That's what the I in IB is. And it's more global. So we try to pull in a lot of different things about culture and try to get a more global perspective on things like mental health and the definitions of those across the world. In addition, we're looking at the whole child, and I'll show you an IB profile and focusing a lot to skills. If we look, the kids have looked at this before, whether or not you are a diploma student or the student is just coming in to take IB. You can see like we really like having a holistic approach to the child, that they're not only knowledgeable, but they're also a risk taker, they're reflective, honesty and integrity, they're good communicators, and they have a balanced well-being in terms of being able to have balance in their life. We think that's really important. And so we take a more holistic approach at looking at the child. Okay, in terms of content that your student's going to be doing, this is the basic that can change depending on how fast or slow we go. But right now they're in Unit 1, they're learning about research and all the critical thinking that goes along with that. And that is going to be prepping them for one of the components of the IB exam, which is the internal assessment, the IA. And this is a research experiment for this class that they'll do with a group, and then they'll write a paper on their own, and that actually gets sent off to IB. I grade the paper with a rough draft, and that is due first semester, and then they finish up with my commentary and do a final draft in the second semester. In Unit 2, we learn about biological basis. So different from AP, where they would just do things about the brain, then maybe the next section is sensation and perception. We do everything that's related to biology, and it's more thematic. Unit 2 is cognitive basis for behavior and thinking. In semester 2, we focus on social psychology or social cultural basis. That's the third component. We finalize that IA, and then we do a huge unit on abnormal, which is what IB calls it. It's our clinical psychology with our treatments. We also then do the IB test reviews and finals, and my goal for them is throughout the year we have some field trips to possibly IUPUI, which hopefully has opened up, and then we do a developmental unit and go to a daycare and try to do that. Again, that's all going to depend on how fast or slow we go this year. In terms of what you need to know about the class and what you should expect, all the students get a workbook that has all of the papers in them. So when they're absent, if they're someone that's sort of disorganized, all the things that they need for the class are in those booklets, and they will study from those and do their notes in those as well. I give them guided notes. I don't really love the laptops. There's a lot of research on if laptops are really beneficial. So I have them take all those notes in there. They can have a folder for some handouts, but like I said, that's really just going to be any assessments I give them back and calendars that they have. So everything's really in that workbook. They will receive that monthly calendar, which has a basic idea of what the reading assignments and tests will be. And then for each reading assignment, students get a reading quiz that they can use their workbook. So if they've completed their workbook and they have all their notes in there, they can take it. It's a 2-question quiz just to kind of keep them honest. That can give you an idea if they typically I can tell if they've read or not. And if you're seeing that there's a 0 out of 2, they probably didn't read, or even a 1 out of 2, because most of the time if they've read, they've put something logical down. So that's a good place for parents to check their press and see if they're doing their homework. In terms of grading, you'll see sort of 100 points for the tests. Projects are a little bit less than that, 50 points to 60. Some of those groups, some of those individual. Their research experiment is going to be 100 points for completion. In the rough draft of their IA, that research paper that goes with that experiment. We do writing prompts. We may have some little quizzes and things like that. And they do have a final exam in both semesters that will mirror the actual test itself for IB. So there's like a combination of, it's more of a college class, so you are going to get more of tests being part of that assessment holistically. And then of course we're doing lots of practice on that. Everything is going the way it was before in terms of not having a quarter grade. It's more of a checkpoint, so the semester number of points, it counts for the entire semester. We don't do points per quarter. It just continues throughout the whole semester. All the work, if they're absent, is going to be on Canvas. You can also, you're all observers on Canvas, so you can take a look at what they're doing, and it's organized by module with the most recent being on top. Okay, in terms of the IB exam itself, we have what they call papers. They're actually essays. So the first semester covers the first exam. It's a 2-day exam. And that first semester we have a paper 1. They can answer biological, cognitive, and social cultural questions. And that's a compulsory part. So they were given 1 question for each one of those themes, and they're given 1 hour to write a short response with that. The second part of it is going to be an extended essay where they get to choose which one of those essay questions they want to do, and they're given an hour to write basically a 5-paragraph essay, but it's not really that. They have the benefit of me being a IB grader. I graded essays over the summer for IB, so I have kind of an insight as to how to do those and what graders are actually looking for. And then second semester, we do the paper 2. The second day of the test in May, they concentrate on the abnormal psychology, and they were given some questions about that, and they're able to choose which question they want to do that. We do a lot of practice so that they're ready to, and to be honest with you, all of my kids passed the IB exam last year in various types of grades. So whatever college they're going to, they just have to see what's the minimum that is required to get Psych 101 credit for that course. But you should feel good that the kids have been doing well on the test. and so forth. This gives you an idea of sort of how that biological approach is going to talk about neurotransmission, neuroplasticity, hormones, pheromones, genes, gene similarities. Cognition is about memory. They learn about reconstructive memory and how our memories can be false. Biases in decision and thinking and emotion and cognition. And then, of course, social cultural, we do how we learn from others, how we identify with groups. We talk about stereotypes and how and why those occur. We talk about differences in culture and culturation and acculturation. So those are things that we do in that particular unit. This gives you an idea of what the test looks like. Again, it is an open-ended test. So some of the questions might be like the cognitive level of analysis that you see there on question 2. Explain how one biological factor can affect one cognitive process. Gives a lot of openness to how they want to answer that question, but then they might get something like distinguish between the concepts of emic and etic, which are 2 main vocab words that we learn in social cultural. So that's sort of the idea of like when we talk about the test again, we see the biological, cognitive, and social cultural, and then we go to the abnormal. So the abnormal on the second day will give them a choice between something like discuss the role of 2 or more clinical biases in diagnosis, or contrast 2 explanations of 1 or more disorders. So again, it gives them a big lot of leeway and choice, which is what IB is really about, so that they can answer that question the way that they feel the best that they can. Again, the other component to the test is the IA, which they have lots of control over, and we continue to look at those IAs to see what the feedback from IB is on the research papers, and I work with them and give them a rough draft opportunity and so forth so that they can do really well in that part of the assessment. The IA is worth 25% of their overall IB grade, and then the tests that they take, the paper 1 is the first day, that's 50%, and then paper 2, which is that second day where they do abnormal psychology, that's worth 25%. So you can see the breakdown of what their exam will look like. If you have any questions throughout the year, please let me know. My door is always open. That's my email there, my extension. Anytime your kids are in need of anything, they know they can come to me, but feel free as parents to do that as well. And we look forward to a great year. Thanks, everybody.